Yo, what's up? My name's Petrowski3, and welcome to a Magic the Gathering channel centered all around Eternal formats, Legacy, Vintage, and sometimes some casual Commander, as well as some drafting on MTG Arena. Welcome, I hope you enjoy your time here today, and make sure to like the video and subscribe if you enjoy it. But this video is just all about cards I've bought and picked up recently, and I have a little small stack to show off to you guys today. Some of these cards will actually get their own video because they are so special, and then I have one giant card, which I will tease at the end of the video, the biggest Magic purchase I've ever made by far. I will get its own video very soon once it's authenticated and is shipped to my place. All right, here is most of the cards that I've picked up throughout the month of March 2025 in Magic the Gathering. Alright, that's the video. Thanks for watching. I know my camera work is shitty, but it doesn't have to be that shitty. So here are some cards that I've done a full video covering, and I got really lucky over here on Deathrite Shaman, but I picked these cards up before the ban announcement on March 31st. As I'm recording this, it's actually still before that, so hopefully I've done okay. Hopefully the bans are good. Hopefully every format is saved, guys. I'm sure that by the time you're watching this, Temur Breach is a thing of the past, and Modern is a beautiful and healthy format, as well as Legacy, Blue-Black Reanimator, and all those tempo decks. I'm sure that they've been toned down quite well. Now, I sound kind of sarcastic, but honestly, I kind of am hopeful for the future. I hope there were some big swings in this ban wave. But anyways, back to the topic of today's video, okay? 7 Glimpses of Natures for around $6-7 a piece. 8 Deathrite Shamans for $2.69 a piece. The price was too good. They were all from one seller. As I'm recording this video, Deathrite Shamans have spiked up on TCG Player to $13 is the cheapest available copy. They have been bought the fuck out, and I'm going to go list at least 2 of these ones on TCG Player to hopefully sell them, because I bought the whole set of 8 for $22. So if I could just sell 2 of them for $13-14 a piece, that would pay for the entire lot. Now we have some other cards over here. We did a whole video on those. Let's talk about the other cards, okay? First things first. 3 Helm of Obediences. I love this card. I remember going to a local shop and asking the store owners for if they had any Helm of Obediences. They didn't, because for some reason, I apologize if this is shitting on you, but for some reason, shops in Virginia have no Magic cards. They don't buy collections. They never stock up. I don't know what it is. Maybe it's just the customer. Maybe it's the consumers in Virginia just don't buy singles from their local shops. Maybe it's an adjustment they had to make. But I'm a little salty about it. I'm not gonna lie. Moving to Virginia, 8 months ago, I'm kind of salty about how the shops here operate. It's just not what I'm used to, which is maybe it's time for me to adapt, right? It's not what I'm used to, and it's just not the environments that I want in a Magic store. That could be a whole ramble. A lot of the stores in at least Northern Virginia, let me qualify, Northern Virginia, a lot of the stores are a lot more sanitized and obviously profit motivated. And I want a store to be profit motivated. I want a card store to be able to sustain and do well, honestly. But these guys just don't know anything about the game. That's my problem. Is I run into so many stores where they only have one guy who even takes in Magic trades. Like, the rest of them don't know the market and don't know anything about it. They can't even look up prices. I don't know what it is. I don't know, but it's been a frustrating experience. It really made me realize how spoiled I was living in Maryland, because man, the trading card game shops in Maryland are all phenomenal. But anyways, enough turf wars in the comments started. 3 Helm of Obedience. This is actually the last 3 that I needed to complete a playset. I've been obsessed with this card after seeing a friend of mine playing it in Enchantress in Legacy over a decade ago. It was one of their win cons where you could play Rest in Peace main board and then usually one Helm of Obedience. I love this because I think it fits into the current metagame kind of well in Legacy. I love the idea of playing Helm combo, or in Legacy right now in main board. It allows you to play things like Rest in Peace, allows you to play things like Leyline of the Void, which is a 4 of in every sideboard right now. It allows you to play these cards main board in Legacy, which is number 1, hilarious, number 2, hilariously effective right now. Now, are Reanimator decks still too good? Are they able to counter your Helm? Are they able to go off well before you're able to? Yeah, there's still, it's not really the perfect counter, but it's funny. But I do have a 4th Helm in my main Eternal binder, which I should have a video on this channel covering as well, and how I collect staples now. I'm really excited to own 4 copies of Helm of Obedience, and these were just a really good deal. Let me go grab the price really quick. Now, they are quite beat up, they are quite damaged, but they're not warped at all. They're not water damaged. They have significant love. They have significant wear, where you can tell these were definitely played unsleeved and definitely played on concrete or blacktop or something of that sort, and that makes me kind of love them even more. These cards costed $16.50 a piece for Helm of Obedience. This is normally a $40 card. To get these for $16.50, I've been keeping an eye on this market for a long time. It is a reserved list card, never been reprinted. Really interesting card, really interesting combo card. I love it. I love Helm of Obedience. It's always been such a cool card to me. If you don't know, I probably should explain what the card does. The card says it's a 4 mana artifact, okay? 4 mana cost artifact that says X and tap. You put the top card of target opponent's library into his or her graveyard, and you continue doing this until you have put X cards or a creature card into that graveyard. Now, that's all irrelevant. What you do is you play something like Rest in Peace or Leyline of the Void, which exiles all graveyards and all cards that would go into each graveyard, kind of removes graveyards from the game. And when you do that, you can then pay 4 mana, cast Helm, tap Helm for one. I think it has to be at least one. Tap Helm for 1, and then target opponent will mill cards off the top of their library infinitely, and you will mill out your opponent because they don't have their cards aren't seeing the graveyard, they're not hitting the graveyard, they're just getting put into exile. I absolutely love Helm of Obedience, just a fan favorite of mine. Very, very cool card, very unique effect. It's kind of like a reverse Goblin Charbelcher, if you think about it. It costs less to activate, but instead of milling yourself out and doing a bunch of direct damage, you're milling your opponent out and milling them out into exile, which is really relevant, because imagine playing this to counter Blue-Black Reanimator, and you mill out your opponent into the graveyard, and then all of a sudden they get to Dread Return of Thassa's Oracle and kill you. Now that wouldn't be nearly as good. All right, next up we have more cards to cover, and there are 2 more of these coming in, so just pretend that there's 2 more on the table, okay? For me, thank you so very much, viewer, I appreciate it. Phyrexian Devourer. This is, I got the bug. I got the pre-modern bug. I finally got bit by it. I had like one YouTube comment was all it really took. I mean, to be totally honest, pre-modern seems like a format that is perfect for me. My biggest problem with Magic the Gathering right now is all of these amazingly powerful new cards being printed and power creeping eternal formats. And it makes me a little sad because it makes those formats no longer eternal. The whole point of Legacy and Vintage and even Modern, I don't know as much about Modern, but, you know, shout out Modern players, is that with these formats, these decks, you're supposed to be able to buy these decks. They're very expensive. They're thousands of dollars, you know, usually maybe hundreds if you're lucky, but usually thousands. You buy these decks and they last a lifetime. The whole point is you buy these decks and they don't rotate out like Standard. This camera is the worst at focusing on Magic cards. They won't rotate out like Standard. These are decks that you should be able to buy and play to some extent. They may not be, you know, tier 1 forever. If you buy a tier 1 deck and it becomes tier 3 in a few years, I think that's okay. That's totally reasonable. That's going to happen, right? That should happen. However, it sucks to see decks get obliterated off the face of the planet by power creep, and I feel like that's what's been happening a ton in pretty much every Eternal format except for maybe Vintage. I don't have much experience with the history of Vintage, to be fair, but pre-modern is a format of format pre-modern essentially, and you can only play cards printed pre-modern, which means a very important thing: there are no new cards that will ever be printed into pre-modern. Some people find that very scary. I find it very enticing. Some people think, oh, no new cards ever printed, wouldn't that get extremely stale? Wouldn't that get extremely boring very quickly? Wouldn't it become solved? And if, in my opinion, if you know anything about Magic the Gathering and Eternal formats, nothing is ever solved. Even if the metagame is solved, it doesn't get solved. It gets solved temporarily, and then you adapt, you adjust, you overcome, you sideboard differently, you mainboard a card to counter the top meta card. Like in any sort of game, you cannot introduce anything new, and it should still always be adapting. It's slower adapting if you were to introduce new things, but it's still adapting. There's a reason why in competitive Pokemon we see new bans and metagame changes on things like Generation 1 Pokemon, Generation 5, these gens that have not changed since, things like Smash Bros. I'm a terrible Smash Bros. Player, but Smash Bros. Melee is the perfect example. This game obviously doesn't get updates, right? But its metagame changes, and its tier list changes every year because the players get better. They adapt. They learn new strategies. They're still learning new things about a game that is 25, 28 years old at this point, right? Magic the Gathering is very much the same, and it frustrates me and disappoints me when players see a format where cards can't get printed into it and think, oh, that will be a very dead format, like that won't ever grow. I disagree. There's so many examples of the opposite. Why are you such a doubter? You know, why are you so cynical? And part of me understands it, but also there's so many examples. There's so many examples of things not getting, and it makes it harder for them to grow, to be fair. It's usually a more dedicated player base. I'm not saying that pre-modern is going to be, standard levels of popularity, but I'm really interested in pre-modern. I'm really interested, and Phyrexian Devourer is a very, very, very cool combo deck to me in pre-modern. Hilariously, I'm a Stiflenought player. I probably should just play Stiflenought in pre-modern. It's literally like a tier 1 deck, but I don't play tier 1 decks in almost any format that I play, except for Vintage. If you're gonna spend 60 grand on a deck, I'm gonna build a tier 1. I'm gonna build shops. I'm gonna be honest, but my own little Petrowski variant of shops. So one day that will come. But Phyrexian Devourer, very cool card. Look at the art. I love Mark Teeden. I think is my favorite artist of all time. He does so many amazing things in Magic. He's a fucking phenomenal, beautiful Magic artist. He's the only artist that I have signed cards of. He was the guy who did Eater of Days, which was a kind of a niche. I don't know why that's the one. What's the one I think of? But he does a lot of these like big, crazy Eldrazi's that like he shows their sheer size by not including them fully in frame. And I think he does it in a beautiful way. I met him in person and got, a few cards signed by him. He's a really, really nice guy. Really patient. Doesn't rush you when you're asking for signatures, which is really sweet. He's not there to just make money. He's there to talk to people and understand the stories behind why you enjoy his cards, right? Anyways, Phyrexian Devourer, 6 mana artifact creature, a 6 mana 1/1. That's terrible. Well, it's a 6 mana 1/1 that you can pay 0 as many times as you would like. Remove the top card of your library from the game and put XX +1/+1 counters on Phyrexian Devourer, where X is equal to the card's casting cost. And then when its power is 7 or greater, bury it. However, that trigger goes on the stack, right? The power is 7. So the power is 7 or greater, bury it. So what you can do is you can play this card. It's a 6 mana card. It's a lot of mana. It's like I think it's like tier 2 or 3 deck from what I was seeing on the online. I don't know too much about pre-modern. I might even end up not playing this deck. I already paid. They're $10 a piece. I bought a playset just in case I wanted to play it, and their reserve list, right? So if this ever becomes relevant, which is unlikely, but if pre-modern picks up more popularity, I want to have my playset now. Because I just love the card. I love the card as well. I just love owning cards. I'm a pretty frugal person. I don't spend a whole lot of money on many things. Magic the Gathering is just kind of where I spend my money. So if you want to judge me for that, more power to you. But I don't have any plans for a child in the future. I have no amazing over-the-top long-term life financial plans. At least I have goals, but no financial plans for me personally. I'm just kind of hanging out, living life, having fun, leaving a positive impact on as many people as possible along the way. But anyways, back to God, I am terrible at staying on topic. Phyrexian Devourer. It's really cool. You play it, you pay the 0 cost a million times. You can exile your whole library if you want to, make it a 100/100, and you cast something like Fling, and you just fling it at your opponent and do as much damage as possible and one-shot them essentially. There's things like Fling. There's a few other cards you can use to do this, but I'm really excited. This combo seems so cool to me, so interesting. I'm excited to check it out further. So I picked up 4 final TLDR. 4 Phyrexian Devourers picked up at a moderately played. They look honestly better than I expected. Like they probably could pass for lightly played. So the seller did a great job. Very, very kind. Moderately played to lightly played. 4 Phyrexian Devourers for about $9 to $10 a piece. Next up, the final set of cards to talk about is quite a hosh posh. These are Russian cards. Number one, these were not TCG player cards that I bought like with singles intent to buy. This was just an eBay lot. This was a $11 eBay lot, and here we have Seasoned Pyromancer, Magus of the Moon, Yawgmoth, and Tarmogoyf. Hilariously, this is my first time ever owning a Tarmogoyf. I remember I was watching the stream live when that pro player at the draft, at the Modern Masters 2 draft, or Modern Masters 2, right? Got the foil Tarmogoyf. That was a big deal. I couldn't believe people were mad about it at the time, but obviously people were. I thought it was hilarious. I thought it was amazing. Why would you not take that, easy pick, right? Kind of funny looking back how crazy in my opinion that people were mad about that. Really, if you don't know that story, go check it out. Really sweet story. Guy opened a foil Tarmogoyf, which was worth like $600, I believe, at the time. The community was very angry because it wasn't the right pick for his deck in a draft. Very clearly, he should have picked the oh man, it was what's the 1 mana red? It's like Burst Fire. It's on the tip of my tongue. It has 4 for kicker. It's a shock. You can kicker into 4 damage. for 5 mana total. Since it's in like standard right now, but yeah, that he probably should have picked that for his deck to make it a better draft deck. But man, Magic's expensive. Traveling to tournaments is expensive, and most of the time you scrub out. You go 0-2 drop, 3-2 drop, 5-2, whatever it is, right? Like most of the time you scrub out, and Magic's fucking expensive, let alone the cards, right? So I respected him a ton for showing the humanity in that and picking that. But anyways, my first time ever owning a Tarmogoyf from a Time Spiral remaster, I believe. Russian Tarmogoyf also just looks specifically fucking cool as shit. Look like the name on this card. I can get my camera to focus for like 2 seconds just to show this, but yeah, Tarmogoyf in Russian specifically looks fucking pretty sick. I'm not gonna lie. These cards are really, really minty. Tarmogoyf's like, I think $15 now, which is crazy. I remember when he was $150 to like $200 for the cheapest. I think the cheapest copy at the time for a while was $150. The Modern Masters 2 non-foil. Craziness. Happy I never played Jund in Modern at that time. So Tarmogoyf's like $15. The Yawgmoth is like 10, I believe. The Magus of the Moon is like 10 to 12, and the Season Pyromancer is like 8. I got the whole lot for $11. So we'll sell off some of these, make a little bit of profit, and probably keep the Tarmogoyf, because probably keep these two, the Tarmogoyf and the Magus of the Moon, and sell off these. I don't have any demand for these, and these are legacy playable. This is, I believe, played in some niche legacy decks, but I don't know if I'm a Seasoned Pyromancer believer. Maybe I'll have to see it played in more decks. I'm gonna have to see it played more, but this is the final lot of things I picked up in March. And I hope you guys enjoyed the rambles. I hope you enjoyed watching. I hope you had a good time here. I hope you picked up some cards, bought some cards on TCG Player as you were watching. And I hope you have a fantastic day. And don't drought on lands today, fellas, okay? What do you say? Thanks for watching as always. Like the video if you liked it. Subscribe. It helps out a really small channel like myself growing and getting some more eyes on me and seeing if people enjoy the content and continuing to create Magic the Gathering content that people want to see and also content that I want to make. Honestly, this is just a passion project for me, and it's a ton of fun to be able to have some people to talk about Magic with, which is what it's all about. It's about the gathering, the social element, which I really, really enjoy, the brewing, the creativity. There's so much to this beautiful game, but I'm going to see you guys later. Have a great day. Peace, Reno, and good luck.